Well, what is this brand new setup that I have? A very professional setup that I have with this lovely PC screen here and some shit over here. Does this mean that I am now a professional? Absolutely not. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. The reason for this brand new professional setup is because I decided to rearrange my flat. Just because you are currently a tripod on a bed, because I have no idea how to film in this room because it's a very small area where I'm filming right now, and this is what we're going with. Today I'm going to be talking about the worst year of my life, which I had at uni 2 years ago. I'm sure that it's only the beginning. I'm sure there's much worse to come for me, which is a distressing thought. But we're just going to roll with it. Life's a roller coaster, as I say, and it's probably going to turn to Final Destination 3. I literally do not know where to begin with this fuckfest of a story, but I guess we should start with me finding the course online. That's probably a good way to start. So a couple of years ago, I was really down with whereabouts my life was. I felt like I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. I'd always loved film and TV. I did it at college, and whilst I was at college, I really enjoyed doing the script writing, but I never really clicked in my mind that, oh, this is what you should try and do career-wise, or try and look into doing career-wise. I was just like, oh, that's fun. And once I left college, I started doing like odd jobs here and there, and in my spare time, I'd do script writing, and I'd really love it. But to me, it was just kind of like a hobby, which I'm doing on the side, which is fun and cool and shit. But then a couple of years ago, it just dawned on me like, why aren't you at uni doing this? Why aren't you doing what you love to do? Why aren't you trying to pursue a career in this? So I decided to change that. I started looking for courses that were just about script writing. Turns out there isn't any. If you want to do like a script writing course which is just about script writing, you have to pay about nearly 15 grand, and there's this place called the London Met. I can't afford that, so I decided just to look for courses that had script writing within them, and it was quite heavily focused on in a sense, but obviously did other stuff and it wasn't like the main subject. And I was well prepared for that. I was well prepared for doing a course that wasn't going to be centered around just script writing, that would have lots of other areas too. But as long as the other areas were interesting, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I can maybe see myself potentially doing that. That's fine. And so with all this searching around, I was torn between creative writing, film and TV, and game design. Now, it might seem weird picking game design over film and TV or even creative writing, because you'd presume film and TV would have the most aspects for script writing. Well, the thing that drew me the most to game design is, for one, I'm a big gamer. I love gaming, so having a course where you learn about video games and how to make video games is already like pretty fucking awesome. And the second thing is, in bold, underlined italics, it said, we focus on the narrative structure of script writing heavily. That was the only thing out of the entire list of what the course is and what you do that was like bold, underline, italics. So to me, that says that we'll be doing that quite frequently, or we'll be doing it quite a lot, or we'll at least be just learning about scripts at some point quite heavily, because you've said. And also learning about how to build environments and characters in different software. That sounded really interesting to me. I'm sure I would have been shit at it. Again, never really got the opportunity to use any of that equipment. But it all sounded really good, and with it being a course that was heavily going to focus on script writing, it just seemed like the perfect one, the go-to. It stood out to me. And so I applied for that, and I got an unconditional, and I didn't even need an interview, and I got straight in. Awesome! So Welcome Week rolls round. For anyone who doesn't know what Welcome Week is, it's literally a week where the uni opens for all the first years. Just the first years, there's no second or third years or anyone else. We just all go in and have a meeting with like our lecturers and meet our classmates. We don't have a lesson or anything, it's just literally meeting and getting to know the area that we're going to be studying. And from the very first day, from Welcome Week, not even our first lesson, something about the course to me just felt completely off. Which even prompted me on my first day at the Welcome Week to say, is this the right course? Am I in the right room? Is this what we're doing? So on the first day of Welcome Week, I discovered that my lecturer, who is going to be teaching game design, isn't going to be there for 5 weeks, because apparently something's happened. Whatever, that's perfectly fine if they've got personal issues or if something has happened. I, however, have a sneaking suspicion that they weren't ill or had any personal issues, and I just didn't want to turn up for 5 weeks. I can't prove it. Have a strong feeling that is what happened. But okay, whatever. Bit annoying, but can't be helped. Hopefully when they get here we can start doing our game design properly. For now, let's focus on Welcome Week and learning about what I'm going to be doing in my course. Also, what's really weird, and something that my uni just seems to do, and it only just started doing it apparently the year that I started doing game design, is that they merge classes together that don't always merge well. They have similarities, but it's not enough for them to justify them becoming one. So games design, animation and graphic design all merged together for the first year of semester. Kind of like how I talked about in my last video with me in film and TV, merging with media production and journalism. It works far more with film and TV than it did for me in game design. I will talk about all of that. This is going to probably be a long video. I apologise. I don't apologise. Whatever. The two lecturers who are showing us around for Welcome Week are graphic design. They have nothing to do with game design. And that's why on the first day I was giving it all the benefit of the doubt, because the only thing they talked about was art. So they were literally just talking about how at the end of our first year we're just going to have this massive portfolio filled with drawings. Fair enough. I understand in game design we will have to draw concept art and stuff. But I thought that I would be learning a lot of other stuff, not creating an entire portfolio on art. Like, where's the level design? Where's the character design? Where's the environment building inside of the software that we have, not drawing it? Obviously we could draw stuff to help us build it inside, but if we're not going to build anything within, what are we learning? I'm just drawing. I'm in an art course practically, and that's not what I signed up for. That's definitely not what was written on the specs for the course. I didn't read anything about doing art for an entire year. Like I said, I gave them the benefit of the doubt just because they are graphic design lecturers. They don't do anything about game design, and game design was a brand new course for that year. No one else had ever taken it because it had just come in, so we would have guinea pigs. But yes, after the first day at Welcome Week, I did ask them, was like, am I in the right place? It's just because I thought it was going to be stuff about script writing and learning how to create software and blah 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 blah. They did reassure me. They said, yes, that is completely what you're going to be doing, don't worry. We are the lecturers in graphics, so we just talk about that more today because that's what we know. Once your lecture arrives, it'll probably all become clearer. Fine, perfect, you've reassured me, you've made me feel better, so I'm just going to wait for my lecturer to arrive. I understand that my lecturer is missing, MIA, but I presume that when I first started, like my first proper week, we are now in my first week, we've left Welcome Week behind. Starting on my first day, actually, in the lesson, I would have thought we'd have done something game design related, being that I'm on a game design course. Instead, for the first 2 weeks, every lesson I had 4 a week, every single one of my lessons, for 2 weeks straight, I drew circles. I shit you not. I drew circles like this over and over. And, oh, and sorry, I'm forgetting the other one. Figures of 8. I drew figures of 8 for 2 weeks straight. Excuse me? Excuse me? Excuse me? What? It was supposedly to make us better drawers. Again, art isn't supposed to be the centre of this game design course. If anything, script writing was supposed to be, since it was heavily talked about in the specs and was bolded, underlined and italics. But whatever, I'm thinking maybe they're just making us do graphics work because our lecturer's not here. I'm trying to justify it to myself. Even though my entire body is screaming, you should leave this course now and change something else because it is not what it's said to be. I just keep gritting my teeth, hoping that it gets better once the lecturer arrives. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. So I just keep drawing my figures of 8, which you're supposed to draw without looking, so I'm supposed to go like this, not looking at how the figure of 8 is, and hopefully if it's all kind of the same, all the lines are overlapping one another, you're doing a great job. If it's kind of going off to one side, you're not doing so good, blah 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 blah. I don't really care. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to be rude because I understand that for the graphics students that was probably quite helpful because they are designing stuff, so they need to learn to draw and figure stuff out before they put it into like a software like Illustrator or something. That's perfectly understandable. Not what I should be doing, really. Like I say, I'm just kind of over it. I understand that art is going to be a part of game design, but it shouldn't be the entirety of game design. But whatever, I'm just kind of over it. I'm not a huge art person. If 5 weeks finally pass and our lecturer finally turns up, it's not on a day where we're going to get a lesson, so we don't actually get to do anything because we've gone out to the train museum, the most fascinating of places if you've ever been. If you are a fan of trains, I apologise. I am not. Just don't enjoy looking at them, really. I'd sit and want to get me to a destination, but to just walking around a museum filled with trains. It's not my cup of tea, love. I will get into why we're at the train museum later in this video. It is a frustrating thing for me. Not for the graphic students, because it's for them. We're at the train museum for them. We're just there with them because it's like they didn't know what to do with us, is the thing, which I'm jumping ahead of the stories. Let me just carry on chronologically. Is that the right one? Chronologically. That's the one where it goes in order, right? Oh god, that sounds so stupid. After we've been to the train museum, looked around, blah 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 blah, the next week rolls around and we finally get a lesson. We're finally getting one. We're finally about to be taught how to do games design stuff, I guess. So game design and animation finally get separated from graphics. You think, oh great, we're finally about to do our course, essentially. Hopefully it's been worth the wait. We get in, our lecturer walks in, he introduces himself, we all introduce ourselves to him, and we have a little thing, we get to know him, what he's done. He talks about the games he's worked on. He's worked on some cool games like GoldenEye for the Nintendo 64, Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness, which didn't go so well, and a bunch of other stuff. He's worked on other bits and bobs like Donkey Kong 2 for the Nintendo 64. He did a lot of stuff with Nintendo 64. We finally get set our first piece of work to do. I think we're about to do like a presentation on it, get taught like something about what we're about to learn, something really cool to do with game design. No! So our first task is to create some monsters and a home screen all on Photoshop. Okay, that's kind of game design related. We're making like a home screen, that's cool. Not quite what I pictured us using software wise for game design, because it talks about like these things called Maya and other stuff where you would create stuff which would actually work in a game, because Photoshop doesn't really work in a game. We never really got taught about how it works, so I wouldn't really know. So if anyone does know, please let me know. With us being a bunch of first years, and most of us never actually doing game design before, or using a bunch of software, like I never used Photoshop and quite a few others hadn't either, you'd think we'd get sort of taught how to use the software, like even just a little basic tutorial. Here's how you use it, this is what works, this is what doesn't. I'm going to give you exactly what happened and how we was delivered the work we were supposed to do. So guys, you are going to be making a monster in Photoshop, and you're also going to be making a home screen in Photoshop as well. Get started. We didn't get any presentation about it, we didn't get any tutorial about it. We literally just got told, you're making this in Photoshop, make it. There was nothing. We didn't get taught a single thing about it. It's like he just expected us to know how to use Photoshop out of nowhere, which fair enough, some people in the room could. A bunch of us couldn't, like I've said before, because it's the first time we're going into this kind of area. I didn't even think Photoshop was really used much for game design. So this is our first lesson after 5 weeks of waiting for us to actually have a lesson, and this is what we get told. Make something in Photoshop. Bye. Alarm bells are chiming and ringing and flashing. It's like, what? Excuse me? Is that it? Is that actually it? Is this all you're gonna do? You've got no presentation or anything else to show us. You just use Photoshop. Okay. Okay. Fucking how? I don't even know. It also turns out what we're doing isn't just for us game design students and animation. It's also what graphic are doing. We are all doing the exact same thing, even though we're doing different courses. Why? Like, it just doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem like it connects. Anyhow, there's not much I can do, so I just crack on using Photoshop, making something I have no idea how to make, getting help from all of the classmates and students and pupils who also don't really know what they're doing, because our lecturer isn't helping. By the way, do you want to know what tops it all off? Our lecturer doesn't know how to use Photoshop. How does that work? You're going to set a task for us to do on Photoshop, but you don't know how to use it yourself, so whenever we have a question of like, how do I do this, you literally cannot give an answer. By the way, something which just makes me laugh about this lecturer, they don't, if you ever have a question to ask them, like, they don't respond. No matter what, I'll get further into that in the video, but if we're struggling on some software or we don't know how to use it, his literal response would be, yeah? Yeah? That's not an answer. If I say to you, how do I do this? How do I need to use this, or how do I make it do this? You go in Yeah. And walking away is not an answer. That doesn't help any of us. It got to the point that it was so bad, not a single person asked for help anymore, because we didn't get it. We get fucking yeah or a riddle. Someone were like, this isn't what was said, but it was something to do with colour. I shit you not. It was like, does this brown work or does this red work better? And his response was something along the lines of like, if it's brown, it's brown. If it's red, it's red. So yeah. And walked off. Wasn't quite like that, but it was something in the words of like, he was trying to do some kind of riddle rhyme. I don't even know. I'm baffled. Like, reflecting it now, talking about, because I put it all to the back of my mind, like not really thinking about it. What a fucking mess of a course. Like, oh my god, I can't believe I wasted an entire year doing that. Why did I do that? So yeah, 5 weeks later, we hand in the monster Photoshop task. I passed it from what I remember, and everyone else did as well. No help from my lecturer, just help one another. Fine, cool, we got past it. No idea what I've done. It looks like I just made it in high school, and it's a fucking mess. We are now on the 11th week of our first semester. Just to let you know how many weeks are in a semester, half of a year. It's 12 weeks. There are 12 weeks in one semester, then you go into your second semester and have another 12 weeks, and then you're done for the year. That is it. 11 weeks in, the only thing I've done is draw circles, go to the train museum and start that task, which I'm going to get into, and do some Photoshop shit. Excuse me, I'm on a game design course. Where's the game design? Am I crazy? If someone's done game design, like, that sounds normal, please let me know. But to me, it just wasn't. And everyone in the course was the same. People who've done the game design course at college were just equally as confused and like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. This guy doesn't understand what he's trying to teach. Where is the games? Where is the games? But yes, it's the 11th week, and just to let you know something, the software called Maya, which we're supposed to be using to do game design, has not been on our computers in our room for the entire duration of the first semester that we've been there. The 11th week in is when we finally get the software on the computer. There was no sense of urgency. The thing that we're supposed to be learning in this first semester is only just appeared on the computers 2 weeks before we leave for Christmas, and then come back and do a completely different thing. Like, what? I can't fathom it. Like, I just, what a shit show. What a fucking shit show. So we finally get the software on, and we have our first tutorial on Maya. Our first tutorial to do a game design. As much as I'm super pissed off that it's taken so long, I'm so happy that I finally have it. I have a lesson, I have a topic, I have a course. It was probably one of the worst tutorials you could ever ask for. It was a mess, speed through, didn't make any sense. Every single person in the room was lost. Every time he did one thing, everyone had to put their hands up like, what did you just do? Can you show us again? I can't explain. Someone showing you how to do something shouldn't be a mess. It was like, because we've only just got the software, he crammed everything into this one tutorial. By the way, we only ever got one tutorial on this throughout the entire first semester. One tutorial on how to use stuff in Maya, and this is where it gets funny. This is where it gets fucking grand. One tutorial, one of the worst tutorials I've ever seen. Not a single person gained anything from it. We then had 1 week left. He wasn't there for the final week, and we were told we had an entire project to do in Maya over Christmas to hand in on the 24th of December or the 23rd of December. We've had one terrible tutorial, have now finished semester practically, and we've got work to do on Maya where, how are we supposed to do that? How can I make, from what I remember, the task was to make 3 drones, 3 modelled drones in Maya by the 23rd of December, and we'd had one shit show of a tutorial, and then our lecturer wasn't there for the final week, and then we finished uni for the semester, and then we had to do all of this creating in our spare time. And some of us don't live on campus. We've now finished uni, no longer at uni, and we don't have the software at home. We have to travel back into uni to do the work, and God knows how long it's going to take, because we don't know how to do it. And on top of it, the only area in the uni where we have the software on the computers is our room. And our room gets locked by 5 o'clock. What a mess. What a mess. I'm sorry, mate. If that's... It's not normal. It's not good. And this is the first area that I complained. On the 11th week, after the tutorial we had was such a fucking disappointment. I emailed our head of year and was like, look, this is shit. It's pretty much, but much nicer, more professional. I talked about how we've spent 11 weeks doing nothing to do with game design, drawing circles and doing something on Photoshop, and then it's taken 11 weeks for us to get software that we're supposed to be having from the very start onto our systems, and then we've had just one of the worst tutorials in existence, like absolutely awful, and everyone's disappointed and everyone's down and everyone's frustrated, and now we're supposed to do this task over Christmas. How are we supposed to do it when we don't know what we're doing and we haven't got the software at home? And I just piled all this into the thing, and I got back like a response like, oh, thanks for your concerns, I'll look into it, blah 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 blah. It sounded like he was going to do something, essentially. He said he was going to talk with other pupils, blah 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 blah, whatever. I was so down on the following day, I didn't go in. Apparently I didn't miss anything. Shockingly, we didn't learn a single thing, so it didn't matter that I wasn't there for it. Then Thursday rolled round, and what a fucking commotion. So I'm the first person to complain. Everyone else is in agreement with me though. Everyone's like, yes, thanks for complaining, thanks for saying it. There was like, if stuff doesn't improve, we're going to complain, we'll band together. So that was nice. I was like, okay, cool. If things keep getting worse, we're going to band together. Because we're all in the same boat, we're all in agreement. The course is shit. So yeah, Thursday rolls round. Game design, animation and graphic design are all in the same room together, and there's about maybe 67 of us in total. Game design is only 19 of us, including animation students, about 4 animation students. And the 3 lecturers, my game design and the 2 graphics designs, are all there. And they hush us all down and they say, right, we're going to have a little meeting. And now, this meeting isn't to do with any one person. It's just something we want to talk about with you all. Spoiler alert, this meeting is to do with one person, and that person is me. Fuming. So, our game design lecturer comes in with a fucking golden BAFTA that he won on GoldenEye, and let me just tell you something. Every single person who worked in that game got a fucking BAFTA. It wasn't just him. He didn't do anything outstanding himself to win a BAFTA. He got one given because he was working on the game. For all he could have done, he could have just fucking handed out coffee to people and he would have got a fucking golden BAFTA for it. He comes in. Now, there's about 12 tables with a bunch of people surrounded around them. Out of every single table, he slams his golden BAFTA down on, pardon me, sorry about that, on the table that I'm sat on, and just so happens to be slam bang centre right in front of me. Out everywhere he could have put it in the room, to slam it right down in front of me is just you telling me you have an issue with me now, and that this entire meeting is happening because you have an issue with me. So the head of year who I messaged is now at the front saying, you all need to trust us. It's just the first semester. We're just getting started, guys. Don't worry too much. As long as you trust us, we can trust you. Blah, 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 shit, blah, blah, shit. I was just sat there like, excuse me? You just said this meeting is about me, but you keep making weird eye contact with it and you just slammed the golden BAFTA in front of me. I'm feeling a bit attacked right now. And also, I love how it's like, this is just the first semester, we're just getting started, even though we're right at the very end of the first semester. How are we just getting started if we haven't fucking started? It talks about how we should be moving forward together, but sweetheart, we've been shot fucking dead. We ain't moving anywhere. And so now I'm even more frustrated because I sent the email hoping that something would happen. I don't know what I was expecting, just maybe someone to like get us back on track or something, just something. We've got nothing to go on. But no, nothing. It was absolute waste of time sending an email. And now I have to somehow make a drone over Christmas with no expertise whatsoever. It's like I'm paying $9.5 grand to get expertise level of tutoring. Like, I'm expecting to be taught something. I understand they can't hold our hands through everything, but I'm expecting to be given a tutorial or something, some form of education. Am I just paying $9.5 grand for me to come in, get told what to do, then have to come home and watch a YouTube tutorial on what to do? Like, that was what my entire first year of game design was pretty much like. I had to come back and watch YouTube tutorials on how to do the most basic of fucking shit. It was a nightmare. Absolute fucking nightmare. So, my camera died, and it is now the next day. I can't exactly pretend it's not. I tried to keep continuity. There's the shirt and the hat, but I've already missed my mark. I've been talking about how we had to do our drone work over Christmas, because we only got set on it 2 weeks before what a mess of a course, really. So whereas everyone at uni in every other course had been doing the work they was meant to be doing to hand in at the end of Christmas in the uni time, we hadn't. So they had to just finish up and finalise everything over Christmas, and we had to literally start everything, finish it, and hand it in. I don't understand how we were supposed to do it. I don't think they even expected us to be able to do a good job, because my drones were shit. I handed them in the past, but they weren't what they were supposed to be. There was like an entire spec we were supposed to stick to that included a bunch of stuff I never understood. Polygon summits, and you had to get it to like 5,000, 10,000 and 20,000. It didn't make much sense. I tried YouTubing that, and I just couldn't get it. It was one of those things that I needed help with and someone to give a tutorial on. And we had one tutorial about the entire thing, which was terrible, and then it was Christmas and we couldn't ask anyone to help. Not that he would help us anyway, as I said, his answers he would give were absolutely shite. But yeah, that was that drone fiasco, and what a fucking state. The reason that we'd actually been to a train museum was because me and one other person from game design was going to work with 6 graphic design students for whatever reason to create something for the museum. Well, I think we could make whatever we wanted. I don't actually know. I think we had to make an app or design an app together. And it was completely based towards graphics. And the reason I know it was based towards graphics is because our game design course was brand new that year. No one had done it before, as I mentioned before. Graphics had been around ages. And every single year for the graphics students, they'd taken them to the train museum so they could create something for them to make it more accessible to the public, I think is what the words they use. We had to make it more accessible for the public, and we decided to choose an app. Like, as I was saying, graphics have been doing this every single year. This wasn't something new that was just brought in to coincide with game design and graphics. It was something that graphics has always been doing, and we were just chucked in to do it with them because we don't know what else to do with these game design students. Let's just give them what the graphics are doing. And that is pretty much all we did throughout the first year, was do everything graphics was doing. And it made no sense. I'm paying £9.5 a year to do game design, and yet I'm doing graphics. What's the fucking point? So we decided to do an app, and we all decided to do different aspects. Somehow, because I mentioned maps a couple of times, we could do interactive maps. I got tasked with making about 7 or 8 different maps. Everyone else was doing so much stuff that was easier. It sounds like maps would be easy to make. It's not. One person worked on games. I think that was the other person from game design who did that. So at least somebody was doing something to do with games. Even though it really wasn't, we wasn't making a game, it was just describing what a game was and making a design. I don't even know what happened with that, really. Then someone made characters, someone made a picture of a train, someone did something. I don't even know what anyone else did. It felt like everyone who was in graphics was doing far simpler and easier stuff. Like, they were just designing 1 or 2 things, where me and my friend Lauren, who was from game design as well, who was making the games, we had so much to do. Like, we had probably the most out of everyone in that group to do. Not saying any of us didn't put in work, because they did, but by far it was me and Lauren who had the biggest task. And of course, me being me, after I finished all my maps, which I was really proud with, I thought I'd done a pretty decent job for making them on Photoshop, having never really using Photoshop before and not knowing what to do. The maps look pretty decent, I thought. But lo and behold, because of me and my bad luck, it's taken me nearly 7 or 8 weeks to do these maps, because it took me fucking ages. About 5 days before everything was due in, my folder with all my maps in corrupted, and it was the only place I saved them. That's a stupid thing for me. I should have made sure I backed them up everywhere else. But the entire thing that I spent all that weeks on just erased. Like that. And that's not the university's fault, that's no one else's fault, that's just my fault for being stupid enough to not back them up. Always back your shit up, guys. Always back it up. No, even if you think nothing will possibly happen to your work, back it up. So then in the final 5 days, I had to remake all of them. But I only had technically 2 days to do it because I was meeting up with the entire rest of the group to sort of go over everything and put it into a PowerPoint and then make our portfolios with all of each of us work. It was really just a stressful moment and pointless, just pointless. Really, really fucking pointless. They kept saying to us, oh yeah, this helps game design. You do, so all this is going to help game design. I cannot tell you one thing that I did in that train museum work, presentation, portfolio, map making fucking thing that helped me in any way, shape or form with game design. Because none of it did. It was absolutely pointless. One of the stupidest parts, and I've been drawing circles and figures of 8 for 2 weeks straight, it felt utterly pointless. Because the graphic design students are more adept with Photoshop and everything, 2 of them were sat in a corner bitching about my maps, thinking I couldn't hear them. I could overhear every single thing they were saying, but I'm one of those people who's more like tactful. If I know you're going to be bitching about me and slagging me off about my back, I'll kind of use it against you eventually. So I kind of bit my tongue in the moment and I was just listening to what a couple of them were saying. And they were just ripping apart the map saying I hadn't done this, hadn't done that, I hadn't scaled or something correctly. I don't fucking know. I haven't used Photoshop before really. And whereas these people have, and they were talking about how I should have done it in Illustrator and all this shit, I'm like, well, someone could have told me this all before I started making it, because I've been making it for the past 8 weeks and then I've had to redo them, which everyone knows I've had to redo them. So why is everyone like just now letting me know that it's all gone to shit? The maps are fucked, even though I spent 8 weeks, lost them all, and then redid everything, absolutely losing my entire sanity to redo them in 2 days' time. I don't know how I did it, to be honest. And fairness, they probably were a bit shitty than the first time round because I had to rush them so much, but whatever. I will say one lad called Mikey, who is an absolute star, can't fault him who was in the group, so sweet, so kind, and always there to support and help you. With everyone saying that it should be an illustrator, and me not knowing anything about blah, I hate talking. Illustrator, and with me knowing more about Photoshop than Illustrator, and we know how bad it is with Photoshop, he offered to help me and make the maps, and it was quite nice to have him do the maps with me because he thought we was going to get them done in like 2 hours. We were nearly a few hours before the deadline trying to finalise and finish these maps. It took us 3 days to get them finished together on Illustrator, and he was like, okay, I understand why it's taking so long. He was never one of the people who was funny with me to start with. He was always just kind of doing his own thing. He was making trains or something, but it was nice for someone to be able to be like, okay, yeah, he's not exaggerating when he said he spent all this time doing the maps and then it's driven him around the bend to do these last 2. And we got them done. We got them done in Illustrator and they look fine. In all honesty, they look just the same as they did on Photoshop, but maybe with a different, tiny bit of a different style because it was done in Illustrator. Kind of pointless to put them all into Illustrator, I personally think. But I learned a bit about Illustrator, I guess, from Mikey. Not a lecturer or anyone. Thank you to Mikey. So we did a presentation. Apparently I got the most praise, somehow. He was really impressed with my maps that Mikey did help me with, and he said it was a really good idea and it's something that we were thinking about implementing. I was like, okay, go me! I actually had a good idea and I was really happy with it. So my idea was maps that were interactive on the app, and you could click onto them and you could find information about trains, see where local food kiosks were and stuff, and all that kind of general just stuff, which I thought would be good for like people to just figure out. It had like a GPS kind of thing where you could track yourself to it, so it guides to something you couldn't find where it was. I thought my idea was great, and so did the people from Train Museum, so holler at your boy, he did a good job. Holler at your boy, he did a good job. Who says that? Me. So with that handed in, and I passed that, and I passed the drones, that marks the end of the first year, which, if you can't tell, is a fucking train wreck. With it being such a train wreck of a course, I decided that I really want to change courses, and because I'm really fixated on script writing and doing some form of writing, I choose creative writing to switch to. I'm not sure why, when film and TV was the obvious choice, but I decided to bring this up in my head a year. I'm a lecturer, and they tried to convince me to stay, but after experiencing what I've experienced and that shitty meeting which wasn't directed at me, which obviously was directed at me, and just the train museum and the shitty drones and the lack of education that I was getting, I was like, fuck it, I'm off. So it was the final week, the 12th week of semester 1, that I was like, I need to switch. And for me to switch, I had to have let them know by like 2 weeks into December. So I had to make my decision really quick, and that's why I chose to do creative writing. I didn't really have an opportunity to look at other courses, hence why I didn't go to film and TV then, because I was so depressed. Like, to put it bluntly, I was really depressed at the end of the first semester. I was so down and so low. I just fed up. I'm quite a happy-go-lucky kind of person, and for me to feel that way and be so unmotivated and just not asked to do anything, I knew it was a bad course for me to be on. I knew I needed to get out of it. and so I thought creative writing would be the perfect one. So I went and had a meeting with the head of creative writing, and they were happy with me to swap. They was like, yep, as long as you handle your working and pass it, you'll be able to come through to second semester. So first semester is pretty much just learning a bunch of basic stuff. You aren't going to have missed anything too much, and you'll be fine to go straight into second semester. So that was great, and I passed on my work like I said. I filled all the forms that I need to. I got my head of year from game design, and for the guy who runs graphics, the head of year of design lab, I guess, and then the head of year of film, not film and TV, creative writing. Jesus Christ, I'm forgetting everything, to sort that all out, and that all seemed good to go. So when I went back for second semester, I should be able to go straight into my creative writing course and be fine. So second semester rolls around and I'm gearing up, ready to go. I don't get any information about creative writing. I was told I would get an email and get a bunch of information letting me know what my lessons were and where I'd be going. So I'm a little confused. So on the first day back, which would have been for my game design, I go in on that day anyway and just go to the kind of creative writing area with all the people who know what the fuck's going on. And I just say to them, I haven't actually been given any like information, like what's going on. Can you tell me am I supposed to be in right now? I'm even here today. They pretty much said they don't understand why it happened, but they directed me in my first sort of set of lessons, said we're going to get your timetable sorted, come back after your lesson here and we'll give you everything. You'll know what lessons you're going to be in for the rest of the week. Sound. So I go to one of my lectures, really kind of interesting. I'm a bit like, is this for me? I don't really know. He was talking about pushing a fat man into a train track and saving 6 people. I can't quite remember, but it was an interesting topic. At least we was getting some form of education, or like game design. And then I went to my first lesson with creative writing, and that was really awesome. So we was given a story about how a town was living in euphoria, at the expense of one person's misery, a kid who'd been locked up. And the only way for the town to live in euphoria was to keep this child locked up and like torture them, kind of. It was a very weird story. And they were saying, how would we handle that if we was in that city? And I was kind of like, well, it's not euphoria, like, it's all fake. They're living on fake euphoria. Because inside of them, they all were guilty, they all knew they were guilty, and they all felt bad about the kids. So I said, it's not perfect euphoria, is it? Like, they think it is. And I said I have like a hero thing, which I do. I have a hero complex. Like, I have to save everyone that I can. Like, you can't let someone suffer just so a bunch of people can be happy. To me, that's just like, nah mate, that's not right. So I gave my entire thing and people was like, okay, he's giving an opinion, cool. And I was really enjoying it. And at the end of the lesson, we had to start writing up our version of that story, how we would interpret it from our thing. So of course, being a hero complex, I wrote about a character who would try and save the kid. And I was really happy and excited. So after the lesson ended, I went back up to get my information pack or whatever it was, so I could find out where I was going to be for the rest of the week. And this is where the good part comes in. They said to me, they're really sorry, but I'm not allowed to actually start creative writing. I'm just like, excuse me? I was told I could start creative writing. I was given the all clear. They was like, yep, you're good to go. How come all of a sudden I can't do it? So they said, well, we've got your marks back from your game design. And I'm like, okay, I passed everything, so I don't know what the problem is. So yes, you did pass everything, but for you to start in creative writing, you need to have 60 credits. And for some reason, game design only awards you 20 credits for the semester. And I was just like, great. Of course it does. Of course game design, even though I've tried to leave it, is still fucking me over. So our course was so crappy, I guess. We could only get 20 credits from our first semester and probably 20 credits from our second semester. We got 0. We got 0 credits practically for doing the work we did. So I just didn't understand what the point was handing anything in, to be honest. So yeah, after I did that, they gave me 3 options. They said I could try and do creative writing still, but I'd have to do 40 credits alongside the 60 of that semester to make up the amount of credits. And they said there's a high chance, there's a 95% chance to be honest, that they won't allow me to do it because it'll be too much work and stress for me to do alongside everything else. And everyone is messaging me, living the best life, and I'm getting distracted. Thank you. So my second option was to either stay on game design, finish that year up, and then after it is up I could choose to restart university and do creative writing from the beginning. Or my final option was to leave uni and just come back and do creative writing when it rolled around for that year. And all options were shit, really, weren't they? I didn't want to leave uni because it would mean financially I would struggle like hell because I'd have to find a job pretty much instantaneously. So I ended up going back to game design, and I really tried to go back with an open mind. I really tried to go back and think, right, it was a terrible first year. Maybe the second semester, it's gonna be better. Spoiler alert, it fucking wasn't. I'm back into the classroom. I haven't missed anything for the first week of game design. They just had like a welcome back week, I guess, catching up with shit. I don't really know what they did. But on the week I come back, we meet with this guy who is making a short sci-fi film, which he needs animations for. And for whatever reason, our lecturer, who has not taught us anything to do with Maya, has not taught us how to animate, has taught us fuck all, has told this man that we can design pretty much Avatar, Star Wars, any of those fucking films, and we're going to do it for him. Somehow, we're going to design some animations that look like they belong in fucking Star Wars because they're that fucking good. Excuse me? Are you actually fucking kidding me? We have zero education in any software. We don't know how to fucking draw a pet. How are you expecting us to make something in software that looks like it could rival Star Wars? Are you fucking alright, love? Are you alright up there? Because I don't think you are. This guy that he pulled in to do this task with, I think he genuinely convinced him that we were like year 3 students, because this guy was coming around being like, oh, so can you do this? How do you do this? Do you make this? I don't know how to do this. Can you show me how to make dust appear here? And can you make this thing shiny? And we was like, we don't know how to do that. He was like, oh, well, I've been told that you can do that, so can you just show me how to do it? I was like, we don't know how to do that. And everyone in the room was saying this to him, like, we don't know how to do it, we've not been shown, we haven't been taught. And for whatever reason, this guy seemed to think that it was just a really quick and easy thing that we could just learn like that. We could just, one day, not know it, come in the next day and be like experts in the field. What is wrong with everyone in this uni not being fully committed in the head? I can't. I actually can't. But the thing that makes us laugh the most is our task isn't actually technically to do with this guy who's coming in and asking us to make space ships and space vehicles. Our task is to create a space hangar that stores space vehicles. So I don't understand why this guy's here anymore. So once the guy leaves, that is when we find out about the space hangar. And he starts talking about how this guy is secondary. Like if we have time, we can make a vehicle for him. So I'm like, why is this guy in here then? Thinking that we're making this shit for him when we're not potentially going to be making anything for him, because our task is to make a space hangar and his stuff is secondary. So what is this about? Because our brief also said that we was making something for a client. Our brief was so mumbo jumbo. Like, this is what I mean. We would ask him a question and he'd say, oh, you are making something for him and you're making a space hangar. Then another time you'd ask him and he'd be like, you're making a space hangar, you don't have to worry about the stuff for the guy. I was like, well, which is it? Are we making something for him? Are we not making something for him? Are we making a space hangar? Are we not? We were making a space hangar, and even though our brief said we was making stuff for that man, that stuff for the man was secondary. Even though that man kept coming in and asking how far we progressed with making a vehicle, everyone in the room was just like, we haven't made a vehicle for you. We are doing that right now. It's not a task. And this guy was just so confused. We were so confused. Our lecturer just in his own world, eyes glazed over, staring at a computer screen, doing fuck all. At this point though, quite a few people have started to complain. I think, besides me, I think about 4 other people have complained. And on top of it, since we come back for the second semester, 4 people have dropped out of the course. Not including me, who left. So if I had permanently left, it would have been 5. 4 people left the course. 2 from animation, 2 from game design. They went to different units. If that's not screaming how bad this course is, and like the alarm bells aren't going off for the heads of the year, I don't know what's going to trigger something to make them realise it's how bad it is. So after all our complaints, I complain again. I complain when everyone else is complaining for a second time. The people who have left also complained. I think after 8th or 9th complaint, the head of the year actually took our game design lecturer to the side and asked him what he was doing, asked him to show us what he'd been teaching us, because he was telling our head of year that he'd been teaching us this, that and everything else, and he had all of these PowerPoints and shit, I'm presuming, because our head of year was like, no, he's doing this, he's doing that, and we was like, no, he's literally doing nothing. We've not got this, we've not got that, he's not showing us how to do this and that. And he'd been telling the head of year, he'd been showing us all of this shit. He'd been showing us how to do this, how to do that. So when it came to showing the proof of like his lessons and his lectures he had nothing, because he had no PowerPoints, he had no tutorials or anything. So finally, the head of year had to do something, and we all came in one day. By the way, Curve said, 2 days before the deadline. 2 days before the deadline of this space seminar, which we'd all spent so much time doing, coming home, watching YouTube tutorial after YouTube tutorial after YouTube tutorial so we could all make something and hand something in to potentially pass. The entire thing gets scrapped. And as much as we've been complaining about how it wasn't worth it and what we was doing, we hadn't been taught how to do any of it. The fact it was 2 days before was kind of like, for fuck's sake, we've just spent all this time for no reason and now it's gone. So we was half happy, half not happy about it, because in all honesty, we would have passed probably, because they were just going to give us a pass mark so we could go into the next year, because they really didn't care what marks were. They didn't care if we was doing well or if we weren't doing well, because I'm going to get into that. They just scrapped it and we was given a new task to do. And what made me laugh is our game design teacher came in after he'd obviously had a scolding from our head of year, and he was so mad and so bitter with everyone. He just came in, sat down and went, "We're not doing it anymore. The space station is scrapped. Everyone forget about it. Just do whatever you want for today. And I'm going to tell you what you're going to be doing later on." He came in and wrote up a brief of what we had to do. In that moment, he had to make a brand new task for us to do. About a month and a half before the second semester ends completely. And I've never been in such a train wreck of a course. It's like they had no idea what they were doing with us. They were just throwing anything at us and was like, "Shape, do this, do that." But the fact is that he'd lied to the head of year about what he'd been teaching us, about what we've been learning. And that is just... how can someone get away with that for nearly an entire year? It shows how slack our head of year was being. Because I complained, and so many people complained. People had dropped out, and it took, what, nine complaints and 4 dropouts, 5 if you include me for the brief period I was out, to finally realise, oh, maybe there is something going on wrong with game design. Oh, maybe I should look into it a bit. Took you that fucking long? And it was a little too late. We finally got our new brief after the space station got cancelled, and we was tasked with doing a 2D environment. That's what we was doing, and you could do it any way we want. It had to be in the fantasy realm. We come up with a game idea, and from the game idea we create the levels, and we had to make 3 levels, and it was all drawing. There was nothing being done in Maya or anything, even though I'm pretty sure we were supposed to do it. We had one tutorial on Unity game engine, and it was fucking dreadful, just like the first semester one when we had it on Maya. Absolutely pointless. None of us learned anything. I got locked out of my Unity thing. It wouldn't load in any assets, so I was sat there like, I can't do this. And he came and looked, he tried to fiddle around, he couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. So he went back and taught everyone else and said, "I'm sorry, Sean, you're just going to have to look at this." So I had even less knowledge than everyone else, but everyone else was sat in the room being like, "It doesn't matter if you could follow it anyway, Sean, because it's not helpful, we don't know how to do it." So after that, a bunch more people complained because we weren't getting anywhere, we weren't learning anything, we was just fucking drawing. There was no, apart from that one Unity lecture, tutorial, we was just drawing again. We was just drawing environments, and that was it. I was saying how I went to do script writing and stuff, and he said to me, "You could make a script to go with your level environments. I mean, you won't get any marks for it, but you can do it." Yeah, I'm just going to spend an entire month creating a script that's not going to get me any marks whatsoever when I need to be drawing and doing all this other environmental stuff. It's great, absolutely perfect. At this point, I am so fed up with the course. I am so down. I am so low. We are getting no education and spending $9.5 grand for fuck all. We spent all that time doing something that got scrapped 2 days before the deadline. We're now doing something that is just literally drawing. We aren't getting taught how to do anything. We're not being shown how to use software. If we are, it's absolutely pointless and doesn't help us. And I decided that I'm done. Like, I'm physically done. I can't go on anymore. Brain's fried. Like, I've never experienced anything like it, because I'm, like I said before, I'm a very happy guy. I don't tend to let things get to me. If something bad happens to me, I'm over it instantaneously. Like, within a few days, I'm like, okay, I can't change it, can't be helped, gotta power on through. This course beat me down to the point I was just like a shell of a human. I don't even think from the start people were really getting to know who I was, because I was just miserable from pretty much day one of the course. And when you can't be yourself and you're just like a miserable thing who's pretending to smile, you're just like, hi, yeah, it's great. It's a horrible feeling. And so I just started to like stop turning up to uni, which isn't a good thing. You shouldn't do that, but we weren't getting taught anything. Me going in was literally pointless. We went in and drew, and then come home. Come in and draw, go home. What's the point? I could draw at fucking home. If I'm coming in to just sit down and draw, what's the point of coming in? And a bunch of people on the course felt that way. We had people who didn't come in for about 6 to 7 weeks straight. And let me put it this way. They didn't come in for 6 to 7 weeks. They were no further behind than any of us. They were in the exact same position because we weren't getting taught anything. We weren't getting an education. And at this point, everyone in the room was like, right, we need to do something. And we finally got to speak to the head of university, like the person in charge of the whole uni. We got a massive meeting with our group and we all just laid into how we were feeling, what we were doing, what was education like. We pretty much was just brutally honest about we weren't getting taught. We'd had maybe 3 lectures or tutorials the entire year, from including semester 1 and semester 2, we had maybe 3 tutorials. How we had our entire work scrapped, how we brought some random man in off the street, how we were just not getting taught. We weren't getting taught anything. We was paying all this money to get nothing out of it. And the fact it was a unanimous thing with the entire class, it wasn't just me on my own being like, we're not getting taught. We're literally just coming in and drawing and then going home and doing nothing. Or if we've had to do any work, like the drone stuff, we talked about how we literally had to just go home and watch YouTube tutorials on Maya so we could learn ourselves. Like, the ones who've done game design prior had more experience with Maya than we got at university. From college, they'd done more. They were more ahead of it than we were at uni, and it was just such a mess. Like, us who didn't know how to use Maya, our work was fucking terrible. Like, it wasn't passable. It shouldn't have got a pass. It did. It shouldn't. After we're speaking with these people, they're feeling pretty bad. They're really shocked at how bad the course is, at the amount of people who dropped out of the university. They're really feeling bad for us, and they should. But of course they have to be like professional, and is that what I'm like? Yeah, I guess professional, and they have to launch an investigation into it. So they've interviewed all of us. They now have to interview our head of year, our game design lecturer, and other people in the design lab. So they did that, and that takes about a month. We all had to provide evidence that we sent to our head of year, like any complaints we had, work, and all of that stuff. So we sent all that bits in. They went through all of that. They then interviewed everyone at uni and the lecturers, and it came back that we were in the right, because there was literally nothing that he had to show. Oh, I've been teaching them this. Oh, where's the tutorial? Where's the presentation about it? Oh, I don't have it. You know what I mean? There's like, if you don't have anything to show for the lack of stuff you've been doing, how can you win with us? You can't. You can't do anything. So, with that being said, we finally got through to our head of year that how bad the game design lecturer was. Because as much as he came in and made us do that brand new 2D environment work, he still wasn't fathoming it, because he kept going, well, he's got a golden globe. Oh, he's new. Oh, I just don't understand how it can be this bad, because he's got a golden globe. That was his argument pretty much for any time any of us complained about him, our game design lecturer. Our head of year would be like, he's got a golden globe. He's obviously really good at it. What are you talking about? And it's like, yeah, cool, because he's got a golden globe. He's obviously the best lecturer in the world and knows what he's doing. Fuck off. After the investigation happened, by this point, I've pretty much left uni, and kind of missed this part out. I have now decided to go to film and TV. I've started arranging all of that stuff, and lo and behold, the lecturer, because by this point, I think I've mentioned it, just in case I haven't, I have stopped turning up to uni because I've decided I'm not staying. I'm swapping courses, I'm going somewhere else, I'm done with this course. So we got them results back from the investigation after uni had finished. It was sometime in June, I think we got it back, and we found out what was going on. I'd left uni in about April time because I was done. I was like, I'm not coming back here, I'm swapping courses, this is not for me. I'm not staying in such a shithole that is making me feel so upset, so down, so low, so depressed. What is the point of being like this and being miserable? I was like, I'm out. I'm swapping courses. So I started to look into the courses. I looked at creative writing, and this time I looked at film and TV. And film and TV really caught my eye. I was like, you know what? I've done this at college. I did film and TV at college. Why aren't I doing it now? And I was reading everything about what we would do in film and TV. It was like, yes, yes, yes. Everything that wasn't to do with script writing, I was excited about doing. I was like, that sounds like me. That sounds perfect. I want to do this course. So I set about swapping. I talked to my head of year in the games I'm building. They were fine about me swapping. They was like, yep, you can swap, you can leave, whatever. I then went to film and TV, talked to them, and I was like, look, I'm dropping out of uni. I spoke to a few people. I was like, is it okay if I don't finish the work for game design? Because what's the point of me finishing up this work, I feel, if I'm swapping over to a brand new course where this work isn't going to help me? It's 20 credits. A shit ton of work that I'm going to have to use YouTube for, teach myself to do it and just draw. I'm over it. I'm over this work. It's making me physically fucked in the head. I'm not doing it. And everyone was like, yeah, that's fine. You don't need to finish the work up. You're swapping over to a brand new course. It'd be weird to, like, if you had to finish the work. So I was like, yeah, that's what I was thinking. And this is coming from the head of year of film and TV. She's smashing. Absolutely fantastic. So helpful. She was willing and willing to have me in the course. She could see that I was so down with game design and that I was so willing and ready and, like, excited to move on to film and TV. So that was great. I got all the forms signed. Got everything handed in. And that's when the head of year started being like, you need to hand all your work in for this game design. You have to. If you don't do it, you won't be able to go into film and TV. And I'm a bit confused. I'm like, but why? Like, why would I need to hand it in? Like, I'm going to a brand new course. It makes no sense. I was like, no, you need to hand it in. If you want to go on that course, you have to finish your work. And I'm just confused because it's starting the course from the very beginning, like the first year. It's not like I'm going to have to get caught up with anything. I'm going to be exact same level as everyone. I'm starting uni from the beginning. It's like how I started game design from the beginning. It's not like I needed any work prior, like, to do a game design to go into it. Why would I need to have all the work finished to go into film and TV when it's going to be of no use? It makes zero fucking sense. And everyone else was saying this to me. But he kept saying, no, if you don't finish it, you're going to get exterminated. You're going to get banned from uni. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, what are you, a Dalek trying to fucking exterminate me? The way he would talk and how I would get, like, a mark next to me, I started to get really, really stressed and really worried about this because I was like, I physically can't finish the work because I've just not been taught enough about it. Like, how am I supposed to make this work if I don't know how to do it? Because how am I supposed to do it? Like, you haven't taught me how to do any of this fucking work. Because after I stopped turning up in the April time, because I was just fucking over it, we got told that we'd have to put it into Photoshop or something like that. Of course, it would be fucking Photoshop. And we'd have to build the game levels into Photoshop. And I'm like, how can I physically build it into Photoshop when I know fucking about, like, fuck all about Photoshop? I hate this course so much. I'm just so over it. So, with me not being there and having not started anything in Photoshop, I was so behind. I was like, how am I supposed to do this? Like, how am I physically supposed to do this? So I started going off to, like, every person who was, like, a higher up and be like, is this true? People were looking at me a bit confused, like, no, that doesn't seem to make sense. You shouldn't have to do that. I went to someone who was going to take my appeal to, like, the head of unit and they could talk about it with them. Like, there was so much going on, I can't even remember all of it, but I had to hand forms in, I had to write letters, I had to do this and that. And the head of film and TV was like, you know what, if they're going to try and exterminate you or whatnot, I'm going to work, I will make sure you get onto this course, I'll do my best, I will talk to people, try not to worry too much about it, you will get onto film and TV, you're not going to get exterminated, don't worry. So I was like, okay, thank you. That made me feel a bit more at peace and a bit more at ease. My head of year was still coming from me being like, you need to get this working enough or you're going to fail, you're going to get exterminated, you won't be able to go to your new course, blah 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 blah. But, can I just reiterate, I'm talking to my head of year through emails. And I've sent him 5 separate emails. 5 separate emails. I am starting university from the very first year. I am going to be a year 1. I'm not moving into another year. I'm not moving from first year of game design to second year of film and TV. I'm starting from the beginning. I've said this multiple fucking times. So eventually I just go into uni and I go in, I go find my head of year and I sit down and I'm like, look, why do I have to finish this work? It doesn't make sense to me. I'm starting university from the very beginning. I'm going into first year. I don't see why I'd need this work. Something clicks with his fucking head and he starts laughing. He goes, oh, you're going into first year. I thought you was going into second year. Oh, don't worry about the work. Excuse me, I've said to you 5 separate occasions in 5 separate emails that I'm starting uni from the very beginning. How in the world have you got it in your head that I'm starting from the second year? Because of him doing this, I've been an absolute train wreck thinking I was going to get kicked out of uni, not going to be able to get onto a new course, that my life at uni was going to be fucked. And I sent so many applications and speak to so many people about how I was gonna get exterminated and that they tried to help me and fix it for me. So after all this, after figuring it out, I was relieved, but I was so fuming. By the way, after I left and I did get to film a TV, as you can tell. If you didn't know, I got into it. I'm loving it. I've pretty much, touch wood, fingers crossed, passed my first year. I'm waiting back for one assignment to see if I passed that, and if I have, I'm golden. I've done my first year. But about 6 other people dropped out of game design when I left, so there was 7 of us in total. And I think there's 9 people or 8 people left in the course now. From 19 or 18 to 8. Does that not give you a sign of how bad your course is? For it to have this much commotion, for this much to go on, for this many complaints, for this many people to drop out. You haven't got a course. It was, I don't even know what it was a fucking mess. To top it off, one of my friends who swapped unis, she finished and handed all the work in, and she got 100%, she got it first. She took her portfolio she got at this uni to the uni that she swapped to, and she started from the first year. But she couldn't go into a second year. She had to start from the first year because she took the work that she got a first on. She got 100%. They looked at it and was disgusted. They told her it was a fail. Her work she got 100% and a first on was a fail. I don't have any words. Like, I have no words. And this kind of concludes towards the end. I will say one final thing that happened. We got the results back from the investigation. We were in the right, of course, away. There was no point. Of course, we were in the right. What we got offered was 2 weeks of summer school, which weren't going to be useful to me because I'd swapped courses at this point. I'd gone into film and TV, and it had been confirmed. So the game design lecturer, who we'd had for the entire year, didn't quit his job, and he didn't get fired. He stopped turning up. He just wasn't there anymore. He just ceased to exist. Like, really? You're not going to let yourself be fired, because I'm pretty sure you would have got fired. Are you not going to, like, bow out? You're just going to run away with your tail between your legs. Wow. Just wow. That's all I have to say. Wow. That concludes the story, I guess. That was my year from hell. I was really depressed for a long time. Even when I started filming TV, I was still really, really low. I'm really, really down. But thankfully, filming TV really boosted me up. I met some really awesome people. The course has been great. I've got an education. I've actually learned stuff. I know how to use cameras. I know how to use Premiere Pro and stuff a bit better. I know how to use a lot of stuff. And I finally feel like I'm actually doing something great. I wrote a script. I wrote a goddamn script. And I really enjoyed that. So it's been a great course. I'm a lot happier now. But I feel like myself, which I didn't that entire first year. Which was a shame, because all the people I met didn't really get to know me. And who I was as a person genuinely. But yeah, that's my story. It's a bit mishmash. I'm sorry if it's all over the place, because I'm just trying to remember from my brain. I've not really got anything written down. I probably missed a few bits off. There was a lot that happened. I probably missed something like really important, like one of the most important parts, but I just can't remember right now. I'm reliving it as a fucking trauma. I know I swear a lot as it is, but I feel like I saw a lot more in this one. Probably because I was reliving and getting angry. But yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, please remember to leave a like, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and follow my social media links are in the description below. Thank you all for watching, y'all are amazing, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.